Well, just how soon is too soon when it comes to companies paying tribute to Mandela through advertising and through billboards? Well, with me in the studio is marketing strategist William Seyama. Thank you so much for joining us, William.
Thanks for having me on your show.
William, we've seen a lot of tributes to Mandela. We've seen billboards, we've seen adverts coming out. There'll be visuals which we're going to play over our conversation where people can see the kind of tributes which have gone out. Is it opportunistic or is it fitting given the stature of Mandela?
I suppose it depends how you look at it. I will take an online approach because that's really the space I live in. You have both personal brands and corporate brands. Interestingly, personal brands can, speak all sorts of things about Mandela and there's no issue. But when you are a corporate brand, like a Virgin brand, and you go online and start saying all sorts of things, and social netizens are very savvy, and they start picking up that actually you're doing it for your own brand and not in the true sense paying tribute to Mandela. They actually take you to task, as they have done with Sir Richard Branson.
So can we put a time on it? Can we say how soon is too soon to start advertising? Is there sort of an ethic, an advertising ethic or law which says wait a respectful time before you start using this situation for your advantage, for your business advantage?
I actually don't think there is necessarily a time. Let's take an example of Woolworths, who went and did a flash mob with the Soweto Gospel Choir. It was in good taste. They put it on YouTube. It became a phenomenon. And to this day, people are still talking about it. Another example is what SAB has done. Even though there is a strong brand behind it, but they were giving information about the life of Mandela, and they did it in such a tasteful way. I think under those circumstances, they do get a license to be able to put their brand behind the tribute to Mandela. I think it really depends on how brands do it as opposed to when they can do it.
I think that does make perfect sense. It's about how tasteful it is, isn't it? Have you seen any examples that have been discordant to you, that you've looked at and thought, that wasn't very well thought out?
I find a lot of brands have just, put up the many quotes by Madiba. I just don't know if it works. We've heard those quotes before. We keep watching them on TV to this day. I think they could have done something much more, much more creative than they have. I feel like they've just taken those quotes, put them up and then plonked their brand there. And for me, it doesn't work. And people see through that.
Do you think we have a situation now which is quite unprecedented in South Africa, really, where an icon has died who has global status? The opposite could probably be applied. The fact that would people expect their brands that they are loyal to commemorate the passing of Nelson Mandela in some way?
I think there's Mandela's stature is of a nature that even brands feel so associated with him, and especially brands of a South African origin. And I think it can be expected that those brands will be saying things about him, but as long as they say those things with respect, and I suppose in this whole thing, cultural issues come into play as well. And if there is some level of appreciation for the culture which Mandela comes from, and also understanding how their consumers will be able to relate to them associating their brands with his tribute, I don't think there is a problem. But I must also admit that, it's a bit of science and art. You can't always be sure that you will get it right. It takes a bit of thinking about it. In all fairness, a lot of us knew that it was only time before Madiba was going to pass on, and peace be upon him. So a bit of time should have been taken by a few brands to really plan this thing to make sure that when it goes out there, it doesn't get the kind of negative response like the Virgins of this world experienced.
And what was the Virgin situation for our viewers who might not be familiar with that?
Basically what Virgin Australia did is they spoke about how Mandela helped Richard Branson to establish Virgin Active in this country, and the fact that they have grown into more than 100 branches and all those sort of things, and they did it on Facebook. and people didn't like the way they went about it. And as a result, they got the negative response on social networks that they did.
That's an extremely sensitive thing,
Absolutely.
and it's open to interpretation. We certainly found here that the flash mob situation at Woolworths, some people loved it, other people didn't like it at all. They felt
True.
it was very contrived,
True.
and they felt that it was opportunistic. So it really is up to the individual at the end of the day, isn't it?
It really is, and this is the thing that you'll always have with social media specifically. And I suppose some people differ just for the love of doing it. But my sense certainly is that, you know, there was overall positive sentiment towards how Woolworths went about it. Because if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be seeing it being played and replayed on the various TV stations like it's happening today. And also, you know, it has acquired a lot of views in a very short space of time. So I take it that a lot of people actually liked it.
And there was, I think, for many people, an emotional connection.
Absolutely.
It was stirring, it was emotional, and it played into what many people are feeling about the passing of Mandela. It hit the right note.
It certainly did, and the song was also very appropriate. I'm so glad that Johnny Clegg composed the song that long ago, and it still just continues to gather momentum as one of those representative songs from South Africa. So it was a combination of all these sorts of things, you know, the song itself, the gospel choir from Soweto, and how they really gave it the life that it deserved. Everything really just came together nicely for them.
William, thank you so much for your insights about the advertising industry and the use of Nelson Mandela and or the tribute. Thank you very much for coming into ANN7 Prime.
Thank you.
Well, that's all from myself and the rest of the ANN7 Prime team for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and a very good night to you.